Are we being set up? Let's take a peek behind the illusion and see what's really going on. Here is your next red pill. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I help people to spiritually awaken so they can enter a conscious path of ascension. And be sure to subscribe so you catch all my videos to support you on your awakening and ascension journey. So let's start by recognizing that we are in a cosmic battle for our souls. There are unseen forces doing everything in their power to prevent our cosmic ascension. In this video, I'm going to show you how to extract yourself from the matrix so you can see what is really going on. And then I will show you how we can move into a position of optimal power as cosmic creators. Now, this is really amazing, you guys. So let's start by red pilling ourselves out of the current illusion. We need to take another giant step back into the cosmos so we can see what is really going on. Now, in order to get that kind of powerful viewpoint, we're going to have to let go of a few things that are keeping us tethered to the illusion, or tethered inside the matrix if you want to look at it that way. We need to start thinking at multidimensional levels because our situation has many different layers. And this is a part of activating your DNA so you can awaken at more expanded levels of consciousness. First, I want to talk about an interesting way in which we are potentially being set up. And then I'll talk about how we can shift in advance of that so we don't lose our center and thus stay in full command of our ability to create. Now, you have to realize that the ultimate goal of the controllers is to prevent our cosmic ascension and shift our consciousness into an AI universe. Now, there is a hierarchy among the controllers, and those at the very top are unseen extraterrestrials and interdimensional entities. What we see happening on the surface of the planet is actually all fake. It's all designed to manipulate us into going exactly where they want us to go. Now, the largest arena of manipulation is currently happening in the political realm. Now, on this topic, I have to talk in a little bit of code because, as you probably know, there are certain things that you can and cannot say on these particular platforms. So hopefully you can read between the lines wherever necessary. So right now, the whole world is in lockdown, waiting to see what's going to happen with the current situation here in the US. The ultimate hope of the controllers is that this country will be completely destroyed so that a uniform lockdown can take place on a planet-wide basis. The lockdown represents the final phase of shifting us into an AI universe. The goal is to eliminate all borders and all human identity so that the human species becomes a completely uniform consciousness on a planetary scale. See, what they really want is they want every human soul to become completely AI compatible. So because this country has historically stood for freedom, there's a big problem with that. I mean, that's like a huge monkey wrench in their plan. So a very complicated political chess game is being played out right now. So let's look at this chess game in the simplest possible way, and then I'll show you the magic of how we can extract ourselves from the manipulation and exercise our full power as creators. So here's the chess game and how we are potentially being set up. Now, on a political level, we have the B side and we have the T side. And hopefully you guys can figure out what I'm talking about. And then we also have the off-planet controllers and the on-planet controllers. So the on-planet controllers initiate all human manipulation fundamentally through the media. The media exists as the mind control arm of the controllers. So in our current situation, it was decided well in advance that only certain outlets of the corporate media structure were authorized to pronounce the winner of the current contest. Everyone else was shut down and no one else was allowed to speak. So just like on a movie set, all of the props and scenery were put in place to back up the pronouncement that B had won the contest. And then a whole bunch of people said, no, this is wrong. T really won the contest and we have to fix this. And then we kind of think that's all there is to the story. However, there could potentially be a little more of a sinister plot and a deeper setup at work. See, it's quite possible that the controllers suspect that there might be a good chance that their scenery is not really going to hold up and that the pronouncement of B winning could potentially fall apart. So if that's possibly the case, you might ask, why did they try to pull this off at all? So here's something that we all need to consider. If in the end it's decided that T won, we could have actually been set up for a massive civil war. And it's also quite possible that that could actually be the real goal. I mean, think about this, you guys. If we have been programmed for 2 solid months by the media that B is the winner, and then you take that away, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, you can probably use some common sense and figure out what that could potentially lead to. I mean, I'm kind of betting that the plans are probably already in place for how to promote a certain reaction to that possible scenario. So let's be smart. Let's extract ourselves from being pawns in the setup and shift into our true purpose as light warriors and cosmic creators. So now we get into some even more interesting things. Here's what you guys need to understand. The off-planet dark forces are actually losing. Every single thing they try is being exposed. This means that they are losing energy. See, that's what I mean when I say they're losing. See, everything that those dark forces do is based on a lie. And lies always require manipulation to stay in place. They cannot sustain themselves on their own. And that manipulation requires energy because lies receive 0 energy from the ultimate source of life and creation. So these dark forces actually use our energy to drive their ability to manipulate us. It's basically a closed, self-perpetuating system of energy. And that's the real purpose of the Matrix. However, here is the problem they're having. Because of Ascension, everything they use to try and manipulate us ends up being exposed as the lie that it is due to the increasing light in our reality. And this exposure causes a situation where they are rapidly losing energy. They are rapidly losing the energy they need to continue to function and control us. You see, the foundational energy that these dark forces need to survive is the emotional energy of anger and fear. That's what they feed off of. Now let's put a couple of things together. So again, looking at this from a cosmic extraterrestrial perspective, we see that the dark forces that are controlling everything are losing more and more energy. So what happens if we get maneuvered into a civil war? They're going to generate a whole lot of new fuel for their unsavory intentions. I mean, we're talking about a literal bonanza of fear, anger, and violence for them to feed on even more. And this could be one way that they are planning to increase their energy so that they can restore the leverage that they need to ultimately shift us into that AI consciousness, which, as you remember, is their ultimate goal. Now, you have to remember that these off-planet forces do not strategize inside the matrix like we do. They literally create the matrix as their self-perpetuating system of survival. So if we want to effectively partner with the amazing forces of light that are trying to help us, we have to extract our consciousness from the matrix and get a much higher perspective on our situation. See, the off-planet forces don't care about politics at all. They use politics to control and manipulate us. Again, what they really care about is stopping our natural ascension and shifting us into the AI universe. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand one thing I said. I'm not trying to suggest that, oh, it's probably better if B wins because then we can avoid a civil war. That's not what I'm saying. You see, that whole thing is part of the manipulation. It's all part of how they're trying to checkmate us. If B wins, their shutdown is permanent and all goes forward according to their AI plan. And then if T wins, they will feel justified in a level of violence the likes of which we can't even imagine. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if their plan is to expand that violence to a military level of operation. Then they can use the energy of that violence to find a new way of crushing us and pulling us back into the trajectory that they want. They can use that energy to destroy the one spot on this planet that has always stood for freedom. So do you see how the controllers can view these two scenarios as a checkmate scenario? See, according to them, either one of those scenarios results in we lose, right? Kind of diabolical, isn't it? But here's the good news. You also have to remember that these guys have been really good at having many Wile E. Coyote moments. Wile E. Coyote is the cartoon character who constantly tries to get the Roadrunner, but everything he tries blows up in his face. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that some of those unseen controllers might think that they really have us checkmated right now, that they really have us set up to lose no matter who wins, whether it's T or B. Either way, their goal is to completely remove this country as their one impediment to total planetary shutdown and control over all humanity. So here's what we need to do as cosmic creators. We need to understand that they are using the political divide to drain our energy. They weaken us with fear and anger and then feed off that energy to further manipulate us into becoming a part of their ultimate plan. Now, please keep watching because I have some really important information to show you. This next part is a little bit tricky because we have to learn to think in multi-dimensional ways. We have to understand that there are multiple levels to this situation. It's not always an either-or proposition. For example, what I shared with you in my last video on Tuesday was about one layer of understanding. Today, I'm talking about several more layers. See, ultimately, we need to be able to extract ourselves from all these layers while at the same time being able to function within them. So here is how we can function intelligently with our eyes wide open instead of allowing ourselves to be manipulated inside of these different layers. I mean, this could maybe even be kind of fun if you have the right attitude. Now, the first thing we need to do is to sever any psychological attachment that we have to individual politicians. The off-world controllers use the politicians as pawns to manipulate our energy and our attention. See, we don't trust politicians for a reason. It's because they regularly stab us in the back and lie to us about pretty much everything. That's because they're being used by forces that are more powerful than they are. So we need to remove any personal identity that we have tied up with politicians. So let's take a moment and observe how the controllers manipulate us to attach our energy to a single politician or political party. Now pay close attention, you guys, because this is really, really clever. They say, if you're this kind of person, then you belong with candidate A or with political party A. And then on the other hand, if you're this type of person, then you belong with candidate B or political party B. So each candidate or party represents a compartment of thinking that the controllers create. And then they want you to decide who your candidate is by looking at yourself and then putting yourself in the compartment that you most closely belong in, which puts them in total control because they can continue to change the nature of the compartments as they see fit. And then they manipulate your beliefs about yourself to help steer you into the compartment they most want you to be in. Guys, this is completely backwards. We are supposed to be completely sovereign and creative in terms of who we are as individuals. And then we're supposed to be judging the candidates by their actions and their purported beliefs. And then we decide if they're right or wrong based on who we actually are. It's not the other way around, you guys. We're not supposed to judge ourselves based on who they are. So this is why we need to stop identifying with politicians. Instead, we need to see them for what they are and then form our own judgments about them accordingly. Our baseline should never be what the controllers and their proxy politicians say reality is. Our baseline should be what we as individuals say it is, in accordance with who we are in our natural state as cosmic creators. In other words, we decide about them instead of them deciding about us. So that's the first thing. That's how we completely disengage from their manipulation. The next thing we need to do is to refuse to continue co-creating our reality with the dark forces that control this planet. So let me explain to you guys how this works. This is truly fascinating, so stay with me. So we think that the media's role is to let us know about the news of the day. It's actually not. The media's role is to inform us about exactly what it is that we are supposed to be co-creating with the unseen dark forces surrounding us. Now remember that these dark forces are parasitic by nature. They have very little power to create anything on their own. So they use us, they use our creative power to manifest exactly the reality that they want. So if they want to create an AI universe, they need to hijack the consciousness and energy of real creators, such as ourselves, in order to do it. So let's look for a moment at the subject of the virus, the lockdowns, and the masks. That came completely out of nowhere, didn't it? Do you know that 2020 was supposed to be an awesome year of light, power, and transformation? That's called unimpeded ascension. Well, the dark forces wanted to shut that down completely, so they very slyly moved in with this sinister new thing that they wanted us to create. And I'm going to show you exactly how they managed to do that. Take a moment to look at the media as a negative, fear-based voice with direct access to our subconscious minds. Every day, that voice tells us what we are supposed to create. So the dark forces needed to shut down 2020 as a powerful timeline of ascension. See, they totally understand that we are creators, and they totally understand how manifestation works. So they have figured out a way to use our capabilities as creators against us. This is so weird, you guys. So take a moment right now to reframe your view of the media so you can understand how this works. Think of the media as a voice of instruction to your subconscious mind about what reality you are to create next. So here we were at the beginning of 2020, all excited about the potential and this awesome trajectory that we could see in front of us. And then the media comes in and says, oh, by the way, people, there's a big scary virus around and you might die. And then they lie and they tell us, oh, you just have to shut everything down for only 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, so you can help the hospitals. And then after that, you can go back out and go back to normal again. So be a good person and do that so you can help the hospitals. So we say, okay, that's going to be kind of difficult, but yeah, we're willing to do that, meaning we're willing to create that. And then it was all downhill from there. 2 weeks turned into a month, and then a month turned into 7 months. And now there's talk of another year or more, and some say even permanently. See, all of these electronic mediums that we now use are technologically designed to give the media access to us at a subconscious level. And the subconscious mind is connected to universal forces of energy that produce creation in the form of certain realities. So the first thing that the media does is to hook us at a subconscious level through all of these different devices and mediums. Then they inject the vision of whatever reality they want us to create directly into our subconscious minds. Our conscious minds watch this happening and basically do nothing about it because on a conscious level, we're kind of clueless about what is really going on. We think we have a choice. But if you understand the law of attraction and the laws of creation, you know that once something's embedded in the subconscious, it's going to manifest regardless of what your conscious mind tends to think about it. So now the media has their current vision of reality embedded in our subconscious mind. And then they seal that vision into our subconscious by stimulating the emotion of fear, because it is emotion that really sets a vision of intention into the subconscious mind. And fear is really a survival emotion. It's very primordial. So they use that to get that vision deeply embedded and implanted in our subconscious. Next thing you know, we're thinking about their vision of reality. We're thinking about it more and more because they keep driving it into us all day long. Every time we listen to the news, every time we go on social media, we keep hearing it over and over and over again. And we continue to feel all of the accompanying emotions. And the media continues to add fuel to that fire of manifestation all day long. So they start with the vision of a reality of that big scary health issue that's injected right smack in the middle of our enthusiasm about how awesome 2020 is going to be. And then the next thing you know, voila, we are all wearing masks and the entire world appears to be on a permanent totalitarian lockdown. You see, this is how they steal our dreams, and this is how they steal our souls. They use the media and our identification with politicians to steal our creative energy and get us to manifest what they want. Because they cannot manifest their sinister realities without our consciousness and our energy. So right now we need to understand how they operate and not get overly drawn into the political battle. Instead, I suggest that we take back control of our consciousness and our subconscious minds, and we start to envision an end to this entire disaster, an end to the existence of a lockdown, of a fearful health issue, the whole thing. Just envision an end to it all, and an end to all of the fear and trauma associated with it. I mean, we're allowed to envision whatever we want. So picture life with your freedom restored. Picture life where your energy is unimpeded and you can evolve and flow and create once again. Inform the universe that this is your intention. And then you can look at the media square in the eye and say, "No, I am not your useful idiot." See, if you cease to be a psychological conduit for what the controllers want you to create and manifest, they are going to begin struggling from a lack of fuel and energy. See, you guys, this is why their lies are becoming more and more preposterous and sometimes almost comical. It's because they're running out of fuel. Their entire network of lies is beginning to break apart because they are less and less able to use us and our energy to keep their lies hidden. So we need to make a conscious effort to change what it is we are allied with in terms of our capacity to create and manifest. We need to partner with the universe of light to create and manifest what we really intend from our hearts. And then events can unfold in such a way as to support that manifestation. Okay, so I know that was a lot to digest. For right now, hold on to that vision that manifests what you truly feel in your heart. And then put your physical energy into whatever you feel will support your vision. And the more that we all do this as light workers, starseeds, way showers, people who are awakening on a grand scale, the more we are going to give ourselves the chance to see some incredible magic begin to unfold on our planet. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you feel you want to share these ideas and this vision with. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos to support your awakening and ascension journey. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and positive energy. And I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.